On Wednesday, there was a planned protest at the National Assembly by a coalition of civil society organizations against the nomination of two of the newly appointed electoral commissioners after 7 out of 10 newly appointed Resident Electoral Commissioners (REC) were confirmed by appointment for the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC). Now, two of these nominees, namely from Akwa Ibom State and Edo State, were later confirmed on Thursday. The People's Democratic Party has described the development as a dangerous design by the APC to perpetuate itself in power by annexing and manipulating operations of the Independent National Electoral Commission.
Now, Nigerians wore their investigative hats and dug up images to show at least two among the new electoral commissioners may be carrying members of the ruling All Progressive Congress, and two others were also found to be long-term allies of prominent politicians serving in the Tinubu administration. The opposition party also raised the alarm over the imposition of All Progressive Congress leaders as members of Resident Electoral Commissioners. Now, let's take a look at who they are. Of course, these RECs include Mr. Etekamba Umoren as the Resident Electoral Commissioner, Akwa Ibom State. He is a card-carrying member of the APC and, of course, a prominent leader in the APC. We also have Isa Shaka Emekani from Edo State, and of course the Lagos REC nominee Bumi Omoseyidemi, who was appointed chairman of the Lagos State Traditional Medicine Board in 2001 when former Governor Tinubu governed the state, position which he held until 2015. Now, lastly, Mr. Anubum Onoha, Nyesumwike's ex-aide on lands as the Independent National Electoral Commissioners, Resident Electoral Commissioner for Rivers State. None of it looks good from what we've seen.
All right, now joining us to look at the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and how independent INEC truly is Principal Counsel Inibehe Effiong Chambers. Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
All right, let's get into the meat of this conversation. First of all, the eyebrows have been raised as to the nomination of these two resident electoral officers, the RECs rather. Talk to us about, why this is an issue. They have alleged that these people have relationships, long-term relationships with President Tinubu. So what really would we say is the criteria for selecting RECs? Should there be any political affiliation whatsoever? And, how is this very much an issue?
Thank you. Well, what has happened is that President Tinubu is essentially telling Nigerians that we should not forget about having any semblance of credible elections under his presidency. I think he's sending the message very early that we are back to the more receivable era where electoral brigandage was the national culture. The gentleman, Mr. Etekamba Umoren, is from my home state, Akwa Ibom. Anyone from Akwa Ibom who is an adult, who is politically conscious, who knows this individual, his own case is actually very baffling because he's not just someone who has held partisan positions or political positions in the past. This gentleman was a delegate in the APC National Convention. He was one of the 3 delegates from a Senate local government, himself, Senator Godswill Akpabio, and one other person. So he voted for Tinubu in the last National Convention of the APC. He's also a member of the State Caucus of the APC in Akwa Ibom. And he is also a card-carrying member of the APC. He defected to the APC with Akpabio in 2018. I have video evidence of this. So his membership of the party is not in dispute. There are also photographs of him adorned with, APC clothes and so on, and material. So I think Nigerians understand what has happened. And this is the fear that some of us had, that Tinubu's presidency will herald the most vicious state capture that this country has ever witnessed. It is quite brazen, it is quite audacious, it is reckless and irresponsible that the president would, without any regard for decency, appoint individuals who are known to be partisan, openly partisan, to
Mr. Effiong, can you hear us?
President do not find this funny at all. Yes, yeah. I can hear you clearly. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, we can. I mean, could there be the argument, can the president put forward the argument that he maybe didn't know, that these persons, were active politicians or members of the APC? And, I think we've also seen it, before there was a Loretta Onochie time when, Nigerians, called out President Muhammadu Buhari outrightly until that was eventually dropped. Can the president argue that he didn't really know? And also, what is the danger, really, with having a card-carrying member of the political party being a resident electoral commissioner?
No, the president cannot make such a defense. He cannot put up such an untenable excuse. Section 154 of the Constitution is clear. Section 154 sub 1 and paragraph 14 of the third schedule to the Constitution is clear that the resident electoral commissioner shall be non-partisan and a person of unquestionable character. Now, let me even give you another dimension to Itekama Omore. The gentleman in question was had a matter with the EFCC where the former governor Akwa Ibom was accused of diverting state funds or running up to 100 and something billion. Itekama Omore was mentioned in that petition. I think he was also arrested at the time. So this is somebody that does not have any business. I mean, it assaults sensibility to appoint him and then the other ones who are also shown to be controversial to conduct elections. It is a violation of the law. It is also a violation of common sense and morality. So the president has, right, people working with him. There's the office of the secretary to the government of the federation that is well manned, well equipped. They know how to do checks. And then at the security level, you have the state security service that may have been asked to do background checks. Look, why will you appoint people to conduct elections without checking their background? When the law, the constitution says that there shall be persons of unquestionable character and non-partisan. So what has happened? I don't want us to be distracted. Look, Tinubu has acted with clarity. So let nobody obfuscate the issue. Let there be no room for prevarication. The president is explicit that he wants to populate INEC with members of the APC, with partisan and discredited individuals for the purpose of ensuring that the APC is entrenched in power. This is simply what this is about. This is not error of judgment. This is not a mistake. This is not a case where the president was misled. President Tinubu knows exactly what he has done. And he did so intentionally and strategically. But this is the good news. This will not go unchallenged. I can assure you that this matter is going to be litigated. This matter is going to be challenged in court. And then we will see whether the Nigerian judiciary will validate, this kind of very irresponsible action by the president. I mean, it assaults our sensibilities.
Yeah.
We already have an INEC that is highly discredited, an INEC that very few people have confidence in, an INEC that has not lived up to their promises, an INEC that bungled the last presidential election, an INEC that has shown itself not incapable of doing the right thing over time. So what should be imperative should be to find a way to restore the confidence of INEC and not to further diminish whatever is left of the highly discredited INEC.
Yeah, well, I did also see Professor Chidi Odinkalu, tweet, with regard to the same issue, and he asked a pretty important question. I'm also going to put to you to get your thoughts on. There doesn't seem to be a lot of word from the PDP or the Labour Party calling out these very obvious flaws in the nomination of INEC officials. Is that something that we should also be wary of? That there is silence from these two political parties that, of course, currently populate the National Assembly, when these things have happened. Well, I think the PDP did call it out, although my apologies. But, aside civil society organizations, do you think that maybe Labour Party and the PDP should become more vocal when things happen like this?
Look, what this shows you is that we have a problem in this country. We have a problem on our hands. Beyond PDP as a party, they have sizable members in the Senate. The combination of the PDP and the Labour Party, they have sizable members of the Senate. Did they really oppose this nomination? Because the highly compromised Akwa Ibom Senate confirmed these individuals. Did the members of the opposition even stage a walkout? What action did they take at the level of the Senate, the members of these two so-called opposition parties? What did they do to oppose this nomination? Let us even assume that they had taken action and the APC that has majority still carried the day. But history would have recorded that they took a firm position against this. So, again, it brings to fore what we have always known, that many of these political parties, they are just platforms for attaining power. They are not different in terms of ideology. They are not different in terms of anything significant. Because I would have thought by now that PDP and APC, even as at the time these scandalous nominations were announced, would have called out their members on the streets to protest. But we see the inexplainable complacency. We see them, looking so passive about the matter. That is not how it is supposed to be. It is actually the civil society that is really talking about it. So, beyond the press statement that they have issued, which cannot really affect anything, I haven't seen any concrete, action on their part. But what I can assure you is that the courts will be flooded with litigations on this.
Right. Okay. We, of course, are just going to have to keep following up with this story as it unfolds. Thank you so much for your time with us this morning.
Thank you for having me. My pleasure speaking with you.